House of the Dragon opens Season 3 by breaking the board almost immediately. Jace is dead, Vermax is gone, Corlys is missing, Rhaena has Sheepstealer, but not a dragon she can fully control. Aegon is absent, Aemond is filling the space, and Alicent may have just pushed the most dangerous man in King's Landing towards Harrenhal. So yes, Episode 1 gave us the Battle of the Gullet, but the real story is not just who died, but it is what the episode exposed. Dragons are not automatic wins, fleets are not guaranteed protection, heirs are not safe, and the people reaching for power may understand it less than they think. So let's break down what happened in the House of Dragons Season 3, Episode 1, what casual viewers may have missed, and why the war looks completely different going into Episode 2. Full spoilers ahead. Now, let's start right there. The biggest event in the episode is the Battle of the Gullet. And the reason this battle matters is not just because it gives us dragons, ships, and chaos. It matters because it attacks one of Team Black's biggest advantages, the sea. Corlys Velaryon built his power on the water. His fleet is one of the reasons Rhaenyra can stand against King's Landing at all. Without the Velaryons, Dragonstone is more exposed. Without sea control, Rhaenyra cannot easily feed Dragonstone, defend her coast, protect her blockade, or keep pressure on the Greens. That is the part casual viewers may miss. This battle is not just about who wins a fight. It is about whether Team Black can still trust one of its biggest advantages. And the Triarchy comes prepared. These are not helpless men waiting to be burned. They know they cannot match dragons in the sky, so they try to make the sky dangerous. That is why the anti-dragon weapons matter. They change the battle from a rescue into a trap. At first, when Vermax and Moondancer enter the fight, it looks like the dragonfire might solve the problem. Ships burn, men scatter, the battlefield starts to tilt. But then the battle turns on them. Once those anti-dragon weapons come into play, the Gullet becomes something more dangerous than a normal battlefield. It becomes proof that dragons can dominate a battlefield. Once those anti-dragon weapons come into play, the Gullet feels something more dangerous than a normal battle. It becomes proof that the dragons can dominate a battlefield without actually controlling it. Team Black has fire. Fire does not mean safety. And that is where Jace becomes the emotional center of the episode. Jace is not just another prince flying into battle. He is Rhaenyra's heir. He is her future. He is one of the few people on Team Black who makes her claim feel like it can survive beyond her. So, when Rhaenyra wants to go into the fight herself, Jace stops her. He is making the right choice and the wrong choice at the same time. And House of the Dragon is cruel enough to make both of them true. Jace does not fly out because he is reckless. He flies out because he thinks someone has to act. He is trying to save his mother's war, and he ends up becoming one of its biggest losses. Once Vermax is struck and pulled down, the episode turns fast. Jace survives the fall for a moment, but the battle does not give him a heroic escape. The arrows come, no heroic last stand, no clean death, no final speech. Just a prince in the water, caught in a war that moved faster than he could survive. And that loss changes the meaning of the entire premiere. Because Team Black may survive the battle, but they do not leave it whole. Rhaenyra loses Jace, she loses Vermax, she loses the son who was supposed to carry her claim forward. That is why the Gullet hurts beyond the body count. It does not just damage Team Black's forces, it damages their future. The other major turn in the battle is Alyn. Alyn killing Shirako Lohar is not just action for the battle. It is the first major sign that Corlys' hidden bloodline is no longer just family drama. It may become battlefield power. Alyn proves himself in the exact kind of moment where titles matter less than action. He is not standing at the edge of the story anymore. He steps right into it. The detail casual viewers may miss is how much that matters for the Valyrian story. Alyn is not just helping in one battle. He is proving that Corlys may have another source of strength connected to his house, his bloodline, and his legacy. Episode 1 does not give that rise without a cost, because while Alyn rises, Corlys falls. Corlys is thrown into the sea, and his fate is left uncertain. That matters because Corlys is not just another lord. He is Rhaenyra's sea power. He is the person whose name, ships, and reputation make the Valyrian fleet one of Team Black's strongest weapons. So if Corlys is missing, wounded, or removed from the board, Team Black does not just lose a man, they lose stability at sea. That is not a clean win. That is a warning. Then, to understand why the battle feels so unstable, we also have to talk about Rhaena and Sheepstealer. Rhaena finally claims the dragon she has been chasing. And on surface, that sounds like a huge win for Team Black. Rhaena is a Targaryen. She has lived close to dragon power her whole life. But unlike Baela, Jace, and Rhaenyra, she has not had that power for herself. So when she finally bonds with Sheepstealer, it feels like the thing she has been waiting for. But Sheepstealer is not a polished royal dragon. He is wild. He does not feel like a clean weapon waiting for orders. For casual viewers, the point is simple. Team Black gained another dragon rider, but not necessarily another stable advantage. And for book readers, this is also a major change. In the book Fire and Blood, Sheepstealer is claimed by Nettles, not Rhaena. Rhaena's book story is tied to a different dragon, Mourning. So the show is not just giving Rhaena a dragon, it is folding a major wild dragon storyline into her character. That makes her more important, but it also makes her more dangerous to watch. Because this show has already warned us what happens when writers think they control dragons better than they actually do. Aemond thought he was chasing Luke. Vhagar turned that chase into a kill. That moment was the show telling us dragons are not machines. A rider can give the command, but that does not mean the dragon will stop where the rider wants it to stop. And now Rhaena is stepping into that same danger with Sheepstealer. She has the blood, she has the dragon, does she have command? That is the question. And when Sheepstealer enters the chaos around the Gullet, he does not behave like a perfectly controlled asset. He adds firepower, but he also adds uncertainty. And that is the problem with dragons in this war. Everyone keeps acting like more dragons means more control. Sometimes more dragons just means more ways for the battlefield to fall apart. Before we get to Alicent and Aemond, we need to talk about Aegon. Even when Aegon is not driving the episode, his absence matters. The Greens technically have a king, but in practice, King's Landing is being shaped by Aemond's power. Aegon being gone creates a strange kind of fake stability. Crown still exists, throne still exists, the Greens' cause still exists, but the person at the center of it is missing from the center. And that leaves space for Aemond. That is dangerous because Aemond is not just ambitious, he is wounded. He has always been the second son trying to prove he should have mattered first. He lost an eye, gained Vhagar, he became feared, but fear has never fully satisfied him. And Aegon's absence does not make the Greens calmer. It gives Aemond more room to become the version of himself everyone should be afraid of. And that is where Alicent comes in. The Alicent and Aemond scene should not be treated just like another political conversation. It is one of the strangest and most uncomfortable moments in the premiere. And yes, we have to talk about the kiss. Not for shock value, because the kiss tells us something about how broken this family dynamic has become. Alicent is not dealing with a normal son anymore. She is dealing with the most dangerous man in King's Landing. So Alicent cannot overpower him, she cannot command him, she cannot simply mother him out of what he has become. All she can do is reach for the parts of him that still want approval. That is what makes this scene so uncomfortable. The line between mother, political operator, and emotional leverage gets blurry. Alicent knows Aemond wants to be seen as the better son, the stronger choice, the one who should have been king. So when she pushes him towards Harrenhal, She is not just giving advice, she is pressing on his deepest insecurities. Aemond may think he is acting from strength, but Alicent may be moving him through the one weakness he still has, his need to be recognized. That is why Harrenhal matters. Aemond going through there is not just a travel plan. It could move Vhagar away from King's Landing. Vhagar is not just a dragon. Vhagar is the shield over the capital. And if the shield moves, King's Landing becomes more vulnerable than Aemond may realize. So while the Battle of the Gullet gives us the spectacle, Alicent and Aemond gives us something quieter, but just as important, a possible opening. Then there's Daemon. And the reason his Riverland story matters is not just because he is fighting another part of the war. It matters because Daemon is making Harrenhal important again. Harrenhal is not just a haunted castle sitting in the middle of the map. It is one of the key pressure points in the Riverlands. Whoever controls that space can influence the movement of armies, the loyalty of houses, and the middle of the realm. So when Daemon starts building pressure there, he is not just creating noise, he is forcing the Greens to answer. That is why the Lannister losses matter. That is why Jason Lannister's death matters. That is why the Riverlands cannot be treated like a side story. Daemon is turning that region into a problem Team Green cannot ignore. And that connects directly to Alicent and Aemond. Because if Alicent is pushing Aemond towards Harrenhal, then Daemon is not just fighting somewhere else. He may be pulling the most dangerous man in King's Landing directly toward him. That is the tension. Daemon is pulling the war towards Harrenhal. Alicent may be pushing Aemond toward Harrenhal as well. And if Aemond brings Vhagar there, the war may move from political pressure to dragonfire. That is why this section matters. It is not about Daemon winning one battle. It is about the show setting up a collision between two men who are both dangerous for completely different reasons. Daemon thrives in chaos. Aemond mistakes fear for control. And Harrenhal may become the place where those two instincts finally meet. So by the end of episode 1, the map is tightening. The sea has already burned. King's Landing may be exposed. And the Riverlands may be turning into the next place where one bad decision changes everything. So going into episode 2, the question is not just who wins the next fight. It is who makes the next mistake. Because after the Gullet, almost every major player has a reason to react badly. Rhaenyra has grief, Aemond has pride, Alicent has fear, Daemon has momentum, and Rhaena has power she may not fully understand yet. So as we get ready for the next episode, what do you think matters most? Jace's death, Aemond heading towards Harrenhal, Rhaena claiming Sheepstealer, or Corlys disappearing at sea? Drop your take in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the video on your screen to watch the next breakdown now. This is Thrones and Ladders. Every climb has a cost, and in this Game of Thrones, power always collects.